a 90-year-old duke, a royal collection shaped by weddings, war, financial pressure, and almost a century of family history. And one question now spreading across royal circles: when the Duke of Kent's remaining jewels eventually change hands, where will they go? Some online stories claim the answer is already clear. Not to Queen Camilla, not to the Duke's own children, but to Katharine, Princess of Wales, the woman expected to stand beside Britain's future king. It sounds like a spectacular royal endorsement, a private inheritance quietly moving away from the current queen and toward the monarchy's next chapter. But one historic tiara has recently appeared in public again, and the woman wearing it was not Katharine. That single appearance may have revealed more about the future of the Kent jewels than every dramatic inheritance rumor combined. Before we go deeper, please subscribe to the channel. We examine the stories surrounding the royal family while separating documented developments from speculation created only to shock. To understand why this question carries so much emotional weight, you first have to understand the man at its center. Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, was born on October 9, 1935. He is the eldest son of Prince George, Duke of Kent, and Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark, and a first cousin of the late Queen Elizabeth II. He inherited his father's title as a child after Prince George died in a wartime air crash in 1942. That means Edward has carried the title of Duke of Kent through nearly every defining chapter of the modern monarchy, from the final years of George VI, through Elizabeth II's extraordinarily long reign, and into the reign of King Charles III. He also served in the British Army for more than 2 decades and was promoted to Field Marshal in 1993. Beyond ceremonial appearances, he has maintained connections with more than 140 charities, organizations, and professional bodies. But September 2025 brought a deeply personal change. Katharine, Duchess of Kent, his wife of 64 years, died peacefully at Kensington Palace at the age of 92. Her passing did not merely close a chapter in the Duke's private life. It brought renewed attention to a collection of jewelry associated with the Kent family for generations. That attention quickly became speculation. Online narrators began asking whether the Duke might protect the jewels by moving them into the active center of the monarchy. And Katharine appeared to be the perfect name around which to build that story. She is the Princess of Wales. She is married to the heir to the throne. She has repeatedly worn historic jewelry connected to Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Mary and Diana, Princess of Wales, and since 2020, she has served as joint president of the Scouts alongside the Duke of Kent, who has been president of the organization since 1975. Their association is genuine and publicly documented. From there, the conclusion seems emotionally irresistible. The Duke represents the monarchy's past. Katharine represents its future. The jewels connect them. But royal inheritance is not decided by symbolism alone. And this is where the story becomes far more complicated. The Duke and late Duchess have 3 children: George, Earl of St. Andrews, Lady Helen Taylor, and Lord Nicholas Windsor. None carries out official duties on behalf of the monarch, but that does not make them strangers to the family or disqualify them from inheriting private property. They are the Duke's direct children, with their own children and family histories connected to the jewels. The fact that they are not working royals is often used as evidence that the jewelry should pass elsewhere. But that argument quietly changes the meaning of inheritance. Private jewelry does not automatically belong to whoever performs the most royal engagements. It can remain within a family because of personal affection, direct descent, marriage tradition, or the owner's wishes. A private heirloom does not stop being historically important simply because the person wearing it does not work for the crown. That distinction is essential because royal jewelry is not one single collection. The crown jewels include the coronation regalia, the sacred and ceremonial objects associated with the sovereign. These are not personal accessories that a distant family member can simply distribute through an ordinary will. The wider royal collection includes jewelry, paintings, furniture, and more than 1 million other objects. It is held by the king as sovereign in trust for his successors and the nation, not owned by him as a private citizen. Then there are genuinely private jewels. These may be personally owned by an individual royal and can potentially be given, sold or inherited like other private property. The problem is that the exact ownership of every historic royal jewel is not always publicly documented. A tiara may be worn by one woman, loaned to another, and eventually appear with a third generation without the palace ever publishing a complete ownership record. Access is not always ownership. Wearing a jewel does not necessarily mean inheriting it. And public silence does not prove a secret transfer has occurred. The Cambridge sapphire parure is the most famous part of the Kent jewellery story. The historic sapphire set was associated with Princess Augusta, Duchess of Cambridge, and later Queen Mary, who gave the sapphires to Princess Marina as a wedding gift in 1934. Princess Marina wore them with the confidence of a woman born into Greek and Danish royalty and married into the British royal family. After her death in 1968, the jewels entered the next phase of their complicated history. Specialist jewelry records indicate that parts of the original set were later sold or remodeled, meaning the collection no longer exists in precisely the form Marina once wore. That history gives the modern rumor its emotional power. If parts of the collection were sold once, could the remaining jewels disappear again? Could they enter private collections? Could the public lose sight of pieces connected to Queen Mary, Princess Marina, and the Kent family? Those are reasonable questions. But a reasonable concern is not evidence that Katharine has been selected as the heir. The rumor often presents only two possible outcomes. Either Katharine receives the collection and preserves it for the monarchy, or the jewels disappear forever into private vaults. But in June 2026, a third possibility appeared. Lady Marina Windsor, the Duke of Kent's granddaughter, wore the Kent pearl and diamond fringe tiara at her wedding to Nico Macaulay. The tiara had been closely associated with her late grandmother, Katharine, Duchess of Kent. It was not hidden inside an anonymous vault. It was not sold to an unknown collector. And it did not appear on the Princess of Wales. It appeared on a Kent family bride. That moment quietly transformed the inheritance debate, because it demonstrated that jewelry does not have to enter the working monarchy to remain alive. Lady Marina may not perform duties for the king, but when she wore that tiara, she continued its family story. The jewel connected Princess Marina, the late Duchess of Kent, and a new generation of Windsor descendants. It was seen. It was photographed. It was discussed. And it remained tied to the family branch whose history gave it meaning. That is not disappearance. That is continuity of a different kind. The appearance also raises a difficult question for those claiming the Duke has decided Katharine must receive his collection. If an official transfer had already moved the Kent jewels toward the Princess of Wales, why was one of the family's most recognizable tiaras still being worn by the Duke's granddaughter? It does not prove what will happen to every piece, but it shows why the inheritance cannot honestly be presented as settled. Then, there is Queen Camilla. Some versions of the story create an open contest between Camilla and Katharine, suggesting the current queen expects to take the jewels, while the Duke intends to bypass her. There is no verified evidence of that confrontation. Camilla's position does not automatically give her first claim over private property owned by another royal relative. Nor does Katharine's future position automatically make her the destination for every privately held historic jewel. Queen Camilla wore the former Queen Mary's crown at the 2023 coronation, and Royal Collection Trust officially renamed it Queen Camilla's Crown in 2025. But that ceremonial crown belongs to the coronation regalia. It has no legal connection to the Duke of Kent's private family jewelry. The viral story places the two women in competition because conflict attracts attention. Camilla becomes the present queen guarding her position. Katharine becomes the future queen gathering the symbols of the next reign. The Duke becomes the elderly royal asked to choose between them. But no credible record shows that he has been asked to make such a choice. Could the Duke personally gift a jewel to Katharine? If he owns the piece privately, that may be possible. Could he arrange for certain pieces to be sold to the main royal collection or loaned for state occasions? Again, depending on ownership and agreement, that could be possible. Could he leave everything to his children and grandchildren? That is also entirely plausible. What cannot responsibly be said is that one of these possibilities has already become fact. The Duke's relationship with Katharine through the Scouts gives the story warmth, but it does not create an inheritance contract. His children's private status does not erase their family rights. Katharine's future role does not automatically pull every historic jewel toward Kensington Palace, and Camilla's current role does not place every privately owned tiara under her control. The real story is not a battle between two royal women. It is the difference between institutional history and family history. Katharine may one day wear some of the most important jewels connected to the crown because she is expected to become queen alongside William. But the Kent collection carries another kind of history. It belongs to a branch shaped by Princess Marina, Katharine, their children, and their grandchildren. Some pieces may eventually move beyond that branch. Some may be sold, some may be gifted, and some may remain exactly where the recent evidence suggests they already are with the Kent family. Perhaps the Duke has made private arrangements. Perhaps his will contains decisions the public will not learn for years. But until authentic documentation appears, no narrator can honestly know what he has chosen. And that leads to the real twist. The future of the Kent jewels may not depend on whether Camilla wins or Katharine wins. The most powerful answer may already have appeared at a private wedding. A young woman walked into the ceremony wearing her late grandmother's tiara. The jewel was not forgotten. The family story had not ended, and the collection did not need to reach a future queen to survive. So when people ask whether the Duke of Kent will give his jewels to Katharine, the honest answer is not yet, not confirmed, not documented, and perhaps not as inevitable as the viral stories want audiences to believe. The Duke's greatest legacy may not be choosing between the current queen and the future queen. It may be ensuring that every jewel goes where its history remains understood, whether that is inside the working monarchy or within the family that has protected it for generations. Because royal jewels do more than sparkle beneath palace chandeliers. They reveal who remembers the past, who carries the family story, and sometimes who was never truly competing for them at all. Do you believe the Kent jewels should remain with the Duke's children and grandchildren, or should historically important pieces be placed where future queens can wear them publicly? Share your opinion in the comments, and subscribe for more royal documentaries that remain dramatic without turning speculation into confirmed news.